Day 2 is typically moving day, but as the final day of competition for elite individuals, anything could still happen on that leaderboard. There's still half of the points left, and on that final event, only 20 individuals will advance, making that 75K even more of a battle.
Friday started with some heavy barbells and then getting gymnasty in this two-parter. This is where we expect to see some specialists jump into the mix, and it won't necessarily be the final heats with the best scores. Athletes had 3 attempts to find a max clean and jerk with a 20-second window to complete the lift. And that Miami Heat made sure that those barbells were on fire. Victoria Campos, Olivia Kerstetter, and Sydney Mikulishin all hitting 241 pounds. Paige Powers putting up 245, with Elisa Fuliano right behind her lifting 246. Paige Semenza fails 247 on her final attempt, but there was still some time in the 20-second window, cleans it, hits the jerk for a good rep. Danny Spiegel in her official Girl Sweet shirt, going for 255. She gestures to the cameraman, "Move to the side, sir," and then hits it no problem. We assume these athletes didn't know what previous heats lifted because it was Cece Cronin from Heat 2 that took the event win, clean and jerking 256. Moving to part B for the handstand hold on parallettes, which keep in mind is more difficult than doing a hold with your hands flat on the ground. In stage 1 back in the 2020 CrossFit Games, athletes had 20 minutes to find a max freestanding handstand hold, but for this event, athletes get 1 shot. There is, however, a retry window within the first 10 seconds. After that, if they fail, they're done. 5 ladies were able to make it past the 1-minute mark, with Chloe Corono from Heat 2 setting that bar high, holding it for 1 minute and 8 seconds. The last heat had 3 ladies hold for more than 1 minute, Danny Spiegel, Emily Rolfe, and Elisa Fuliano holding it the longest for 1:22. But Rebecca Fuselier racking in the event win, staying up on those parallettes for 1 minute and 27 seconds. Let's bring out the men. Alexander Caron, Nick Matthew, and Brett Fikowski hitting 355. Roman Krenikov and Ricky Garard adding 1 pound at the last second and both hitting 356. Bump up a few more places, Briant Guillaume hitting 370 and Tudor Magna lifting 386. And then Guy Malheiros opens up with 357. Good. Bumps up to 382. Good. His lifetime max is 390, but he puts 395 on the bar, and it's good.
It used to be 390, and I just made by 5 pounds. And I think that I could lift more, maybe 405. I don't know, but it was today my personal best of my life.
That looked way too good for a PR.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know how much was in the bar. I just put a plate. Someone like the guys that was my side, they were like kind of doing the math, and I didn't know what the weight was. I was just like putting the plates, trying to not repeat the plates, and that was it.
Let's now get gymnasty. The time the men spent upside down was similar to the ladies. 6 athletes were able to hold for over a minute. Henrik Happalainen and Nick Matthew less than a 1/10 of a second apart, both holding for 1 minute and 10 seconds. And then, less than a second ahead of them was Briant Guillaume. But the event win goes to Cole Gray-Shaber with an impressive 128. Now, who doesn't love a swim in the middle of the day, especially when you're already damp from a few raindrops from a Florida shower? Danny Spiegel first to the open water swim, but Elizabeth Wishart comes in first from the swim, advancing to those drag rope double unders. Then, heading into round 2, a bit of a change up here. Paige Powers and Brittany Weiss, first ladies, back to those wall balls, Weiss getting through them and then back to the swim, just a few reps ahead of Powers. Weiss stays ahead as the first athlete back to the drag rope, and now Amy Kringle is also in the mix. Powers making the final push, taking the event win, followed by Weiss in second, and Kringle takes third.
It was a lot of fun. It got a little tricky being wet with the wall balls, and the double unders were hard, but I knew for me I could recover on the swim and still hold a moderate pace, so that was a lot of fun.
The men started hot, with most of the field going unbroken on the wall balls and all heading out to the run almost at the exact same time. So now the question is, who came out too hot and who will actually hang on? Ricky Garard, Brent Fikowski, and Roman Khrennikov all coming in separated by just seconds. And here we go. Garard and Khrennikov are back in a battle. Khrennikov making it back first to the swim, followed by Fikowski. But remember when I asked who came out too hot? Well, it's the game's veteran that know how to pace and hang on. Garard and Khrennikov going rep for rep. Khrennikov ultimately edges him out. And the final event will end with just one heat as the field has now been cut down to the top 20 men and women. This one, a two-parter, each with 100 points on the line. Paige Powers and Danny Spiegel with an early lead. Powers is first overall heading into this event, trying to hang on to earn that top spot on the podium. And if you hadn't taken notice of her yet, well, you couldn't miss her in this event as she hits all 3 sets of the 25 chest bars unbroken. She pulled way ahead of the pack as she advances to that echo bike. Spiegel gets to the echo bike second, but more than 30 seconds after Powers. Andrea Nisler comes to the party just as Powers crosses the finish line to win Part A. Danny Spiegel locks in that second place, followed by Nisler and Sigmund's daughter. Part B now, Emma Carey is the first to finish up her 30 bar facing burpees and advance to the 30 unbroken power snatches, followed by Powers. Carey and Powers break, costing them a 3-rep penalty. Carey then misses her snatch, which costs her an additional 3 bar facing burpees, and Spiegel, going unbroken, wins her Part B, followed by Carey, then Powers. On to the men now. Jack Rosema, and you guessed it, Roman Khrennikov and Ricky Garard are your early leaders in Part A. And then to the echo bike, it's a full sprint for Khrennikov and Garard right next to each other. Guy, Nick Matthews, and Rosema next to the bike, and then Khrennikov crosses to the finish line for the win, followed by Garard. Next to cross, almost out of nowhere, Patty V flies through the bike and finishes third. Part B, the final. Arthur Semenov was first to make it through the burpees. Then it's a race with him, Henrik Happalainen, and Dallin Pepper as Pepper passes the field and locks in his event win. At the close of the elite individual competition, Paige Powers is your overall women's champion, followed by Danny Spiegel and Emma Carey. On the men's podium, Ricky Garard is your overall champion, followed by Roman Khrennikov and Patrick Vellner.
And that's a wrap for elite individuals, but don't worry, the action is not done yet. We have 2 more days of competition, and several of these athletes will be competing in the elite team division. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow in Miami.